touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kusa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all in Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get mad. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat.
This is the sound of
It's a cut on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threat. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans, and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Daily Vitamins. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's see who all is in here. All right. Juju's in the house. Anita Harrell, that Crazy Beach Aries with the people. All right, G from the land. Shout out to my moderators for putting in work. Okay, my moderators work really hard. Okay, Bronze Flat Power God is here. All right, let's get into it. Cherokee Descendant Dale. All right, everybody, please hit that like button. Shout out to all of the loyal roads and everyone tuned into the Queen. Okay, so before we get started, as per usual, let's have a brief word from our sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and she also has a wonderful beard oil for the men. All right, so let's get into it. Everybody hit that like button. Thank you in advance. All right, so y'all, Trump is up to more nefariousness, and now Melania has been dragged into the melee by Hunter Biden himself. Okay, so but before we get into that, let's talk about these multiple fatalities confirmed after record Tennessee flooding. An interesting thing is, rather than sending resources and having, extra help for the people involved in the floods and all of that, Trump's out here, having the FBI gallivanting around Washington, okay, just annoying people basically because they're not really catching any crime. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention. This is y'all's president, though. Okay, this is y'all's president. Those of you who voted for him, you know who you are. All right. So let's get into it. Here we go.
People across Tennessee and parts of South Carolina and Kentucky, they're under flood watches today after a severe storm slammed Chattanooga just overnight. 3 people were killed when a tree fell on their car as torrential rain and flash flooding shut down roads, stranded those drivers, sparked water rescues. 1 man is missing after first responders saw him get swept away by those very floodwaters. More than 6 inches of rain fell in parts of Chattanooga, making it the second wettest day in the city's history. That's according to the National Weather Service. That's also where NBC News national correspondent Aaron Gilchrist joins us now. Aaron, tell us specifically about the damage. What are you seeing there behind you?
Well, Morgan, we have heard about damage that really consists of the roads here having been impacted so badly by the onslaught of water that fell across this region here on the Georgia-Tennessee line. For several hours yesterday, we were told by one person that it seemed like the rain just sat on top of Tennessee, on top of Chattanooga for hours and hours yesterday. We stopped in northern Georgia and at an apartment complex where folks say they've lost everything because the water rose so quickly in that apartment complex and really destroyed furniture that was on the first floor of so many of the buildings in that complex. Here in Chattanooga, we are set up right where authorities here have been executing a search for the man that you mentioned who was swept away in the floodwaters here yesterday afternoon. We know that the road that we're standing near was closed as the creek behind us started to rise. The fire department came in, they put up barricades, and witnesses tell us that the man went around those barricades and seemed to walk toward the creek, perhaps not knowing how high the water was, and simply fell into the creek at that point in time. The search went on well into the evening hours last night. Local officials were forced to call it off after putting boats in that creek and then resume that search earlier today while, Morgan, more rain was falling here in the Chattanooga area.
Yeah, you mentioned more rain falling. I mean, what can that area expect in the days ahead?
Well, there is still a flash flood warning in place for Hamilton County, where we are here in Chattanooga. That's a warning that's telling people that they really need to be looking out for rising water. We've had rain happening on and off here throughout the day, heavy at times. It's pretty light right now. And so that is what people can expect to have happening here over the next several hours, at least, as this particular area is seeing rain. As you noted, there are other states surrounding Tennessee that are also either dealing with rain currently, Morgan, or anticipate more of it to come through the evening. And we are in just a cycle where we've seen these storms coming across the Midwest and into the Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast as well for the last several weeks. That's going to continue. All
right. Aaron Gilchrist for us. Aaron, stay dry.
We thank you for watching. And
all right. So with that all being said, prayers for the people that are dealing with that storm, with the floods. That is very serious. Okay. Has anybody on here ever been in a flood? Because I have, honey. Okay, the ground in front of me literally cracked in half. Okay, I'm not even joking, in the road. That was years ago. Okay, so anyway, prayers for them, for their safety, and condolences to all those who lost their lives. Can you imagine a tree falling on the car? Oh, that is so sad. I hope it was instant and they didn't have to suffer. Okay, so with that all being said, again, shout out to everyone in the chat. And let me just say, Emilio Brito, AKA Songwriter Sonny. Now, Songwriter Sonny, ever since they messed up the names in the chat, and when I say they, I mean YouTube, I have been calling you Sunset Sonny. I have been calling you Sunset Sonny, and every time I said it, I knew that that wasn't it. And I'm like, wait a minute, what is it? And I literally just remembered it's Songwriter Sonny. So, honey, I don't know why you didn't correct the queen. Okay. See, this is why I hate when they messed up y'all's names. Okay, so anyway, Panther Strike says, why people live in flood zones? I do not understand. This is terrible. I guess people will live where they can afford, beloved. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, prayers up for them. Okay, so now let's talk about Gladys Knight before we get into the Trump debacle. It is heartbreaking, Joy. Okay. That Crazy Beach Air said, I call him Son E. Okay. Now, with that being said, did you all hear about Gladys Knight? This is very sad. Her son, in fact, filed something for elder abuse against her husband. This is her and her husband. They've been married since, it's been a while. I can't remember, like 25 years. Okay, they've been married since like 2000. But the son It's saying that he's been forcing her to go out on the road and tour, even though she's in the early stages of dementia. So let's get into it. Gladys Knight's son accuses her husband of abusing and forcing her to tour amid rumored health decline, saying that he's pushing her to death. So Gladys Knight may be gearing up for the second leg of the critically acclaimed Queen's Tour, alongside fellow R&B legends Patti LaBelle, Chaka Khan, and Stephanie Mills. But if complaints from her family are to be believed, she may not be doing so willingly. Okay, so they say, in a story first reported by our friends at TSR, that will be the Shade Room, Shanga A. Hankerson, Gladys's son with ex-husband and Blackground Records exec Barry Hankerson, filed a formal complaint with the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services to accuse the R&B diva's current husband, William McDowell, of elder abuse. Now, they were married in 2001. McDowell reportedly handles many of her business affairs. So while chatting with the Shade Room, Shanga expressed concern for Gladys's overall well-being after asserting that she's coping with cognitive decline, even alleging that there have been times she can't form complete sentences or produce coherent thoughts. Now, his statement follows reviews from a number of Queen's Tour attendees who reported that the 81-year-old songstress appeared confused during some of her performances, even forgot lyrics, and had to have background singers stand in for her. Shanga, who was once sued by his mother after being charged with willful failure to remit payroll taxes for his restaurant, Gladys Knight's Chicken and Waffles restaurant in Atlanta, that's why the restaurant closed down, says the only reason she's touring is because her husband is forcing her to, saying the direction she's going in is pushing her to a worldly departure. And I don't want to see that. This is what he said after alleging that McDowell sees him as a threat and is trying to push him out of Gladys Knight's life. Now, while admitting his relationship with his mom was strained after the lawsuit, Shanga contends he has no ill will for the Queen's outing and is only worried about her health. He says, I'm extremely concerned about how she's being handled right now. I don't care about anybody saying I'm sabotaging her tour. I couldn't care less. Am I sabotaging it? Absolutely. Because I don't want my mom out on tour on a bus wondering where she is. That's my mom. I truly love her and don't care about her working a second longer while she's alive. Now, at this writing, Knight nor McDowell has issued a statement in response to Shanga's claims. And this is very serious, people. Let me tell you all this. So just days ago, sometime during the tour, she actually wandered off. Okay, she actually wandered off somewhere, got lost. Okay, got lost. And thank God someone recognized her. They ended up going through her, taking her phone, going through it, and called someone. Okay, and that's how she was found. She could have been out there roaming the streets just lost. Like we see a lot of these elders when they, have dementia. She has early onset and she's already experiencing stumbled words and just forgetting things, not knowing where she is and things like that. So just imagine when it's full on. So we've heard stories before of elders roaming off and family putting out missing flyers and things like that. So this is dangerous. And she does not, in my opinion, need to be on the road. She should be able to sit back, relax, and enjoy her golden years after this lengthy and lucrative career that she has had. Okay, why is this man allowing her to go out there and work, knowing that she's in this condition? So I have to agree with her son. Sheila says she walked to another hotel from what I heard. Yeah, she roamed away and went off somewhere. And like I said, somebody found her and went through her phone. Okay. So Adrian said Gladys's husband is behaving like a PIMP. All right. So anyway, I hope that things get better. And it's really sad. I mean, what if somebody had done something to her? What if she walked down to the street and got hit by a bus? I mean, anything could happen. Like, this is really concerning, for real. Okay, Panther Shark says, Queens, sad and karma. This woman has always been nasty to our people, kissing though. Say what now? Met her in 1998 in D.C., and she looked at me from feet up like I was short after asking for an autograph. Well, that's one instance, Panther Strike. I always loved Gladys Knight, so I don't know anything about all that, because here's the thing. I heard the same thing about Malcolm Jamal Warner years ago. Somebody said he was rude when they asked him for an autograph. That's one person out of millions. And then same thing with Debrat. Somebody said Debrat was rude to them when she was at an airport. She was talking on her phone and somebody came up. Listen, to be honest with you, sometimes people just don't want to be bothered. What we seem to forget is that these are regular people. And sometimes fans just run up to people and catch them off guard or whatever. So I'm not going to say she wasn't rude to you, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't say that that's going to dictate my feelings about her lucrative career. And I've never known her to treat Black people nasty. I've never heard that ever in my life. Okay, Midnight Train to Georgia, honey, that's still my song. I'm sorry, my mom used to listen to that when I was a little girl. Okay, my mom used to be listening to that on Saturday mornings while we had to clean up. Okay, so that's right. Leon said we all have bad days, honey. I'm sure there's people that come and tell you that they met me and I was rude. Okay, depending on what I was doing and what I was feeling or whatever. Now, I try not to be rude. Okay, but I'm gonna tell you like this: sometimes people get annoyed with things. Okay, and that's just what it is. So that's just what it is, beloved. So please don't judge her by that, Panther Strike. Okay, don't judge her by that. All right, like the Psalm says, I think it's 110 Psalm that says, judge thou me not for my transgressions, but for thy goodness' sake. All right. Now, if y'all want to judge me for all the bullshit I've done and said up here on this live, rather than the hard work that I put in and the nice things that I've done and giving y'all free gifts and whatnot, well, I'd feel bad about that. So, we should not judge people by the worst of them, but by the best of them, especially when the best of them outshines the worst. That's all I'm saying. And speaking of that, one could say the same thing about Shakur. So let me say this. Speaking of Shakur, because I went in on her this morning, and one of my friends called me to tell me about myself. They said, "How dare you go in on Shakur Richardson?" And I said, yeah, I kind of did. She was acting like whole Karen. And they were like, but she didn't even push him that hard. I said, well, it wasn't about the pushing for me. I got past that. Okay. And in fact, if you all remember, when I first reported on Shakur, hold on, let me put this comment up here. I'm going to read this in a second. If you all remember, when I first reported on her being arrested, I said they shouldn't have arrested her. It was probably just a little incident or whatever, got into a little argument, a little spat, and they probably just wanted to arrest her. Y'all remember that? I was defending her. Now, that's before I saw the footage and saw her telling all them lies. Okay? That's before I saw the footage and saw her telling all those lies. All right? And so that's what it was. It was the lying for me. Like, you literally could have cost that man his very lucrative career. Okay, he has feelings too. All right. So I'm just saying that's what it was. DJ the True TV said, "How dare you?" Laughing my A out. Okay. No, but I, really, like I said, the pushing and shoving. Now, that pushing just showed that she was strong as hell to me. But like I said, I'm not mad about that. I mean, that was wrong, and it is a double standard. But the main thing that upset me with her was telling those lies. And she continued to tell the lies and kept saying, well, he's the man in the situation. She kept doing that. Now, I can't get down with that, okay? I just can't. Not when it's a Black man you're doing that to specifically. If you're doing it to any man, you're dead wrong. But a Black man specifically, as hard a time as Black men have with the police, and you're voluntarily trying to put the police on him when you know darn well you are the one that did it. She should have just kept her mouth shut. You can invoke your Fifth Amendment. You don't have to talk to the police. You don't have to give them answers. But she was too busy trying to keep from getting arrested. So, I'm not going to keep going in about it. My friends, man, should be all right. Because I said what I said. I don't like nobody lying like that on nobody. How would you like it if somebody did that to you and then sat there and tried to flip the script and then make you be blamed for it? Okay, how would anybody like it? Nobody would. Now, with that being said, let's get into the biggest liar of all times. Their name is Trump. Okay, and I'm going to officially go ahead and deem Trump as wig number 5. Okay, Trump is officially wig 5. All right, that's who Trump is. Now, with that all been said, this fool, he's got Melania caught up in his BS. Let's get into it, honey, because First Lady Melania puts Hunter Biden on a $1 billion notice over false defamatory Epstein comments. Were they defamatory? Were they false, Melania? Inquiry Minds wants to know.
Okay, Inquiring Minds wants to know. So with that all being said, let's get into it. I don't want to read this article from Fox News yet because I know they're probably going to try to, make it all nice and sweet. Let's go to this one right here. Fox News is always biased towards the Trumps. Okay, here's one from ABC. Hunter Biden rift. Hold on. Okay, here it is. Um, Hunter Biden escalates rift with Melania Trump over Jeffrey Epstein allegation. Hunter Biden refused to apologize for making an unproven allegation. Now, here's the thing. It may be unproven, but can Melania disprove it? She can't, in my opinion. Epstein's dead, so he can't verify or confirm it. So here's what it says. An emerging rift between Melania Trump and Hunter Biden escalated Thursday when the son of former President Joe Biden issued an expletive-laden response to the First Lady's demand that he apologize for an allegation he made about her alleged prior ties to convicted ex-trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. So last month, during an interview with YouTube host Andrew Callahan, Hunter Biden said it was Epstein, the wealthy financier and convicted ex-offender who died by suicide in a jail in 2019, who initially introduced Melania Trump to her future husband, President Donald Trump. An assertion that Alejandro Brito, is that your cousin, Emmanuel, aka songwriter Sonny? Their name is Alejandro Brito. Okay, got your same name. But anyway, an attorney for Melania Trump called it untrue and extremely salacious in a letter to Hunter Biden last week. Now, Brito's letter to Hunter Biden, a copy of which was reviewed by ABC News, threatened $1 billion lawsuit if he failed to retract the claim, which Brito said caused Melania Trump overwhelming financial and reputational harm. Now, y'all know she's lying, right? What kind of financial harm? Does she even work? Or reputational harm? You were a whole corn model, lady. What kind of reputation do you really have? Sorry. I didn't know she had a good reputation. Did anybody put it in there? I don't even like Hunter Biden, so let's not get that twisted. But I don't give a darn about Melania either, is all I'm saying. Now, once in the chat, if you all know Melania Trump who had some stellar reputation. Okay, I'm sorry, say what? Okay, but anyway, so they said reputational harm. Now, on Thursday, Hunter Biden reappeared on Callahan's YouTube program where he was offered an opportunity to apologize. And he said, F that. That's not going to happen. That's what he said. He said, F that. It's not going to happen. All right, then, Hunter, you're treading on some very dangerous waters because we all know how petty Trump is. He'll be investigating him in a minute. Epstein and Trump knew each other well. They spent an enormous amount of time together, according to Hunter Biden, cited an excerpt from a book written by Michael Wolff, a Trump biographer, to back up his claim. So President Trump has criticized Wolff as a third-rate reporter and questioned many of Wolff's anecdotes about him and his family. See, I want you to pay attention. This man wrote a book and was saying a bunch of things about Trump. And I think that's where Hunter got this from, that basically Epstein introduced Melania to Trump. Now, the Daily Beast, which also reported on Wolff's claim, took down their story on the matter after receiving a similar letter from Melania Trump's lawyer, and issued an apology for any confusion or misunderstanding. See, they don't want any smoke. Okay, that's what they didn't want. They don't want any smoke. Saying that I can go by what people, this is what Hunter said, I can only go by what people are saying. I don't know. That's what he told Callahan. If they want to sit down for a deposition and clarify the nature of the relationship between Jeffrey Epstein, if the president and the first lady want to do that, I'm more than happy to provide them the platform to be able to do it. That's what he said. Hunter standing on business, and this is all interesting. Now, asked to respond to Hunter Biden's comments, Nick Clemens, a spokesperson for Melania, told ABC News, First Lady Melania Trump's her attorneys are actively ensuring immediate retractions and apologies by those who spread malicious defamatory falsehoods. The true account of how the First Lady met Trump is in her best-selling book, Melania. Well, that sounds like her word against his. The bottom line is neither one of them can prove it. Well, maybe they could, but I doubt. Okay, I doubt that her or Hunter can prove how she actually met Trump. And if Hunter, or shall I say Michael Wolff, because that's where Hunter got it from, if what he said in that book is true, do you think Melania really is going to sue him? Because, you know, if they go to court, all kind of stuff starts coming out. Okay, that's why Trump needs to sit down somewhere talking about suing Rupert Murdoch, because he probably is hoping that Rupert Murdoch's going to settle, but he isn't. And do you think he really wants to sue that man in court where all of the Epstein secrets and stuff will come out? Let's not forget how stuff starts getting dug up when you go to court, okay? I think Trump's bluffing. But anyway, so in her memoir, Melania Trump said she and Trump met at a 1998 Fashion Week party in New York, and that the two were introduced by a modeling agent. Now, Hunter Biden is no stranger to legal wrangling. Weeks ahead of the Trump's inauguration, then President Biden pardoned his son shortly before two federal judges were scheduled to sentence him for a pair of criminal convictions in Delaware and California, for which he faced the possibility of substantial prison time. Now, he also filed a flurry of lawsuits against individuals who he accused of peddling and misusing the contents of his laptop shortly before the 2020 presidential election. One of those suits, which targeted former Overstock.com CEO Patrick Byrne for alleged defamation, is scheduled to go to trial this fall. I'm gonna tell y'all like this: I actually get a kick out of this kind of stuff. I actually get a kick out of this, okay? Because like I said, I don't care nothing about Trump, Melania, or Hunter Biden, okay? At the end of the day, I don't care about either of these people. So at the end of the day, when they're all fighting amongst themselves, I really enjoy it, okay? I really do, because they keep up so much chaos for everybody else. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about how Trump's been out here begging, they say. The streets are saying. They're saying that Trump reportedly called the Norwegian minister out of the blue. And this is what he wants to know about. U.S. President Trump told Norway's finance minister that he wants the Nobel Peace Prize. You know why he wants that? Because Obama got it. That's what it is. Obama got it. Donald Trump called Norway's finance minister last month to ask about a nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize. Now it's all making sense. Now it's all making sense. Okay. Oh, let me read this comment by Songwriter Son. It says, Gladys is such a darling. I'm excited to know who will play Aaliyah in a Gladys biopic. Okay. All right. So Gloria says, tell the truth, Queen. Me too. Okay. D Major Scaling Up said Trump is jealous of Obama. Of course he is. Absolutely. Hold on. Simo said his ego needs to be studied. I agree. Okay, so here's the thing. Now listen. So he called this man out of the blue, asking about a nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, this was reported by the Norwegian press on Thursday. Now, the Norwegian outlet Dagens Næringsliv, citing unnamed sources, reported that out of the blue, while Finance Minister Jens Stoltenberg was walking down the street in Oslo, Donald Trump called. He wanted the Nobel Peace Prize and to discuss tariffs. The outlet added that it was not the first time that Trump had raised the question of a Nobel Peace Prize nomination to Stoltenberg. Now, in a statement to Reuters, Stoltenberg, the former NATO security general, said the call focused on tariffs and economic cooperation ahead of Trump's call with Jonas Støre, the Norwegian prime minister. So he says, I will not go into further detail about the content of the conversation. This was Stoltenberg said, adding that several White House officials, including Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, were all on the call. So each year, the 5-member Norwegian Nobel Committee reviews hundreds of candidates before choosing laureates. Now, the committee members are appointed by Norway's parliaments, according to the will of Alfred Nobel, okay, a 19th century Swedish industrialist. Right, so Trump has previously complained multiple times about not receiving the Nobel Peace Prize, an award which 4 of his predecessors, including Barack Obama, have all received. And his most recent tirade, Trump took to Truth Social in June saying, no, I won't get a Nobel Peace Prize no matter what I do, including Russia, Ukraine, and Israel, Iran, whatever those outcomes may be. But the people know, and that's all that matters to me. No, Trump, that's not all that matters to you, okay? That's not all that matters to you. You want that prize. And you know what? Now it's all making sense. If you guys remember the other day when I was telling you all that Trump was lying, do y'all remember that? When I told you all when Trump said that he's the one who got the he said he brokered peace, okay, over there in Africa. And I was like, yeah, right. I said, I don't believe a word of it. I said, Trump's lying. Okay. I said, I don't believe a word of it. But then when I looked it up, if you all remember, I looked it up through Chat GPT, and he absolutely did. So that's probably why he did it, trying desperately. Because I said Trump doesn't give a darn about Africa. All of a sudden, he's trying to broker a peace treaty and all this stuff. That's why. That's all making sense. See, the thing about Trump is no matter what he does, even if he does something good, he's not doing it just to be a good person, just to show his empathy and sympathy or his humanity. He's doing it just to get, to build up his ego, to make himself look good, because it's something that he wants. Okay. Mr. Elevation said, a peace prize for what? Being orange? That is low down. Anyway, I just wanted to let y'all know Trump wants that peace prize. He wants it. So now let's go to what Governor Gavin Newsom had to say about him, because I absolutely loved it. Okay. He said Trump was poking the bear. Sounds like there might be some smoke in the city. What do y'all think? Let me go to the footage. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here we go.
Thank you guys. Of our purpose and conviction to recognize that we need to reconcile the world we're living in. We do have agency. We're not bystanders in this world. We can shape the future, and that's what we intend to do today. We're here because Donald Trump, on January 6th, tried to light democracy on fire, tried to wreck this country, tried to steal an election, as Alex just said, by trying to dial in for 11, almost 12,000 votes. And here we are, an open and plain sight before one vote is cast in the 2026 midterm election. And here he is once again trying to rig the system. He doesn't play by a different set of rules. He doesn't believe in the rules. And as a consequence, we need to disabuse ourselves of the way things have been done. It's not good enough to just hold hands, have a candlelight vigil, and talk about the way the world should be. We have got to recognize the cards that have been dealt. And we have got to meet fire with fire. And we've got to be held to a higher level of accountability. So that's what this is about. It's not complicated. We're doing this in reaction to a president of the United States that called a sitting governor of the state of Texas and said, find me 5 seats. We're doing it in reaction to that act. We're doing it mindful of our higher angels and better angels. We're doing it mindful that we want to model better behavior, as we've been doing for 15 years in the state of California with our independent redistricting commission. But we cannot unilaterally disarm. We can't stand back and watch this democracy disappear. We can't stand back and watch this democracy disappear district by district all across this country, not just in Texas, but in Missouri, where J.D. Vance went just a week ago, in Indiana, in places like Ohio, in places like Florida. We need to stand up, not just California. Other blue states need to stand up. We need to be firm in our resolve. We need to put back. So we're here in that light. And I'm grateful to have remarkable partners in the legislature. It's a tall task. We're asking them for 2/3. of legislative consent. But this is the difference. This is the difference between what's happening in Texas and what's happening here in California. We didn't receive a phone call from the President of the United States to then quietly go in the back room and start drawing maps and legislatively try to jam them through against the consent of the people. We're doing precisely the opposite. We're working through a very transparent, temporary, and public process. We're putting the maps on the ballot, and we're giving the power to the people. This will be the first redistricting that's ever done that. That's the difference. We tried to raise the standards, and these guys are not playing by any set of rules. So this time requires us to act anew, not just think anew. And so I'm grateful to all of the remarkable leaders that have stepped up this unifying effort here in the state of California. And we'll be asking for the people on November 4th, a special election coinciding with a lot of local municipal elections, to provide a temporary pathway for congressional maps. We will affirm our commitment to the state independent redistricting after the 2030 census, but we're asking the voters for their consent to do midterm redistricting in 2026, 2028, and 2030 for the congressional maps, to respond to what's happening in Texas, to respond what Trump is trying to excite. And we'll do so in a way that also affirms our desire as a state to level the playing field all across the United States. We believe in a national independent redistricting framework. And we believe that's the right goal and the right thing to pursue. And I will just state for the fact, Zoe Lofgren, who runs our California delegation, she authored the bill. Democrats unanimously supported that National Independent Redistricting Commission. Republicans were nowhere to be found. They want to rig these elections, and they want the power that gerrymandering provides, because they know what Donald Trump knows. He's going to lose the midterms. He knows de facto his presidency ends in 17 months when Speaker Jeffries is back in office. He knows it. Why else? Why else would you try to rig the system? Why else would you make the phone call? He's a failed president. Who else sends ICE same time having a conversation like this? Someone who's weak. Someone who's broken. Someone whose weakness is masquerading his strength.
That's what he does.
The most unpopular president in modern history. An economy that's collapsing all around him. You saw the new wholesale prices going up almost a full percentage point today. Inflation is going up. Job creation is going down. He's trying to rewrite history, Smithsonian, censoring historical facts. And in the spirit of what Adam Schiff said, he's trying to put America in reverse on voting rights, civil rights, LGBTQ rights, on women's rights. He wants to bring us back to a pre-1960s world. That's what this is all about. It's about power. And I want to end on this. And we are about to give power back to the people. You have, on November 4th in California, you have the power to stand up to Trump. You have the power to declare that you support a system that is not rigged. You have the power on November 4th to stand up for people that are being bullied. You have the power to stand up for people that are being intimidated. You have the power to stand up to the rule of law. We're giving the people of this state the power to save democracy, not just in California, but all across the United States of America. I hope we are waking up to this reality. Wake up, America. Wake up to what Donald Trump is doing. Wake up to his assaults. Wake up to the assault on institutions and knowledge and history. Wake up to his war on science and public health. His war against the American people. This is a guy who lays claim to want to get a Nobel Prize, sitting there and bending his knee to Mr. Putin. You have the power to straighten this out. And so I want to again just thank everybody for exercising not just their formal authority, yes, that's what we're doing, but also sharing their moral authority at this moment. I want to thank everybody for being here today, for being here tomorrow, and most importantly, we're counting on all of you on November 4th to be there for each other, to win this election and stand up for our democracy. Thank you all very, very much.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, honey. Now, I'm no big fan of Gavin Newsom, but anybody's better than Trump. Okay, anybody is better than Trump. Okay, Shawshana said another another con man. Gloria said, cut the check or shut up. Easy said, look at Nancy's nephew sounding presidential. That's exactly what I was thinking. Okay, he sounds and looks presidential, quite frankly. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the things he mentioned, because he said that Trump was bending the knee to Putin. Didn't I tell y'all that yesterday? That's exactly what he does. Honey, Putin's not playing any games with him. But here's the thing. They say Trump says Putin is ready to make a deal on Ukraine. U.S. hopes to include Zelensky. Now, that was reported 4 hours ago. And then NBC says Putin praises Trump's peace efforts ahead of Alaska summit. Let's go to this. Putin praising Trump. I find it all nefarious. Okay, so here's what they say. I'm going to share this video because what are they doing? Burying somebody. Hold on, let's go to this video. This must be the fallen soldiers, I would imagine. Okay, so anyway, it says Putin praises Trump's energetic and sincere peace efforts ahead of Alaska summit. The Russian leader suggested a deal on nuclear arms control could also be part of the talks that are expected to focus on ending the war in Ukraine. So Russia's Vladimir Putin sounded positive on Thursday on the eve of his talks with President Donald Trump in Alaska, saying that he believed the American leader was making quite energetic and sincere efforts toward peace in Ukraine. Now, a day ahead of their summit, Putin convened a meeting of advisors to inform them about how the negotiation process on the Ukrainian crisis is going. Okay, the Kremlin said this in a readout translated by NBC News. Now, the Russian leader said that the Trump administration is making quite the effort to stop the fighting, stop the crisis, and reach agreements that are of interest to all parties involved in this conflict. Those efforts are intended to create long-term conditions of peace between our countries and in Europe and in the world as a whole, he says, particularly if the negotiations are extended to cover strategic offensive weapons treaties. Okay, now here's the thing. Let me say this. Trump's trying to get peace and all of that because he really wants that Nobel Peace Prize. But what he doesn't seem to realize is that he is such a liar. He is accused of having ties to Epstein, and it's not even accusations. He has ties to Epstein. And then he's accused of a bunch of assault. He's got 34 felony convictions. He's not even of the type of caliber of anyone even deemed as worthy to receive such an honor. Okay, I don't know how he doesn't know that. But anyway, so goes on to say this suggests that a deal on nuclear arms control could be part of talks. Russia suspended its participation in the New START reduction in strategic offensive arms agreement in 2023. Earlier Thursday, Putin's aide, Yuri Ushakov, said the summit would start with head-to-head talks between Trump, Putin, and their translators at 11:30 a.m. local time. Okay, and that would be about 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard, and would be followed by a joint news conference, according to the White House. And they later confirmed this. They said Trump wants to exhaust all options to try to bring this war to a peaceful resolution. That's what Press Secretary Carolyn Lovett said to Fox News. The top-level Russian delegation will include Putin, Yushkov, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, Defense Minister Andrei Belosov, Finance Minister Anton Selanov, and Putin's, these names, honey, and Putin's longtime friend and investment envoy, Kirill Dmitriev. Ushakov said on a call with journalists in Moscow, he gave this information in details. Now, the primary topic of the meeting will be Ukraine, he said, but he added that he expected the huge and unfortunately hitherto untapped potential of economic ties between the U.S. and Russia would also be discussed. as well as Putin's openly stated goal of subjugating Ukraine. He also wants to end Russia's exile from the Western financial system, following economic sanctions imposed by Washington, the European Union, and others. Now, Trump has not yet lifted those punishments, but has expressed a desire to end Russia's economic pariah status. Okay, so, you know, the U.S. just hates Putin. All right, so anyway, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but basically, Zelensky's not believing any of it. He said that Putin is bluffing and saying that he wants peace. You know, Zelensky might be smarter than he looks, because is Putin really trying to garner peace? I don't know. I don't know. Ukrainian skeptical that a fair deal will be reached during the Trump and Putin meeting. Okay, so let me see what this is real quick. I'm going to go to this video so you all can see this. They're burying somebody. I'm thinking it must be some Ukrainian soldiers or whatever.
Sometimes what you find accidentally is the most revealing. Today on the outskirts of Kharkiv, we came across a funeral for a Ukrainian soldier killed in a recent Russian attack. They allowed us to film this painful, intimate moment, usually out of sight. Ukraine doesn't like to show its military losses. The soldier's mother grieved, barely able to stand. Her son, Andriy Reshetilov, only recently drafted and sent to the front lines, leaves behind 2 children. I wondered what these people think about a potential ceasefire. The soldier's older brother, Artem, also serving, agreed to speak for everyone.
How are you feeling about the war and peace talks and where all of this is going?
We don't have to compromise with the enemy and give up our beloved land, because this enemy won't stop and will return even stronger, he said.
So even now, as your family is making the ultimate sacrifice, you think there should be no compromise, shouldn't give up any land in exchange for a ceasefire or some sort of peace deal?
Yes, he said, because we know Russia and they never keep agreements. The ceremony was over quickly, perhaps because there was a line.
And even as one funeral is wrapping up, another one is about to begin right next to where the last soldier was buried. Another body is going in.
All the graves marked with flags are for soldiers. Today, we visited a Ukrainian drone base hidden in a garage. The unit's commander, Leonid Maslov, also has little confidence in President Trump's meeting with Putin.
I'm not optimistic. Putin is playing a very bad game. He will deceive Trump for sure. 100%. Trump will be deceived.
And Tom, Russian forces tonight remain on the offensive, trying to take as much land as possible before the summit.
I actually believe him. I believe that Trump will deceive, that Putin will deceive Trump. Okay, I told you all yesterday that he's playing Trump like a fiddle, in my opinion. I absolutely believe it. Okay, but you know, that's what Trump gets. That's what he gets, okay? So with that all being said, now let's go to this audio right here. Oh, no, hold on. Now, he said something about Governor Gavin Newsom. Remember what he said about the Smithsonian? Hold on, let me see if I have that. Let me see if I have that. Let me pull that up real quick. Because they said that the White House was trying to vet the Smithsonian to see if they did what Trump told them to do. That's what I saw earlier. Hold on, let me pull this up. Okay, here we go. Anderson gives his take on Trump's administration's calls to vet the Smithsonian museums. It's all a hot mess. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Trying to rewrite history. That's exactly what Trump's been doing for quite a while. Okay, so they say White House orders review of Smithsonian museums and exhibits to ensure an alignment with Trump's directives.
as we begin tonight with the Trump administration spelling out just how deeply it intends to get involved in shaping or reshaping what we learn about this country in its history and culture. The place is the Smithsonian Institution. Today, the White House sent a letter to the head of the Smithsonian, one of the great museums of the world, which is actually 21 museums in all. In the letter, they made it clear to Smithsonian Secretary Lonnie Bunch III, writing that it wants what it wants and why from 8 of their museums initially, with more to come. Quoting now from the administration's letter, quote, "This initiative aims to ensure alignment with the president's directive to celebrate American exceptionalism, remove divisive or partisan narratives, and restore confidence in our shared cultural institutions. They're beginning a review of the Smithsonian's plan for celebrating the 250th anniversary of American independence next year, but that's hardly all. Even as it says the goal is not to interfere with day-to-day operations, the White House goes on to demand from each museum a full catalog of all current and ongoing exhibitions and budgets, a list of all traveling exhibitions and plans for the next 3 years, and all internal guidelines, including staff manuals, job descriptions, and organizational charts, along with internal communications about exhibition artwork selection and approval." The letter concludes with this: "By focusing on Americanism, the people, principles, and progress that define our nation, we can work together to renew the Smithsonian's role as the world's leading museum institution," which on its own might sound like a noble ambition, but it does not, of course, stand alone. It comes as part of what has been the administration's ongoing effort to purge government websites and American historical sites of references to Black Americans, gay and lesbian Americans, and transgendered Americans. At one point, even flagging for removal on a Pentagon website a photo of the B-29 bomber that dropped the first atomic bomb in combat. The plane was nicknamed the Enola Gay. A somewhat ironic Control-F fail, apparently, but also part and parcel of a deeply serious administration effort to eliminate from government websites any mention, photograph, or video that, quote, promotes diversity, equity, and inclusion. What followed was the elimination of references to Black and Latino war heroes, gay service members, and the effort to integrate the armed services starting in 1948. And what followed in March was an executive order targeting the Smithsonian for coming, quote, under the influence of a divisive race-centered ideology. Now, that order signaled out one of the 8 museums named in the letter today, the National Museum of African American History and Culture, and specifically something someone wrote on a museum website once in 2020 and was quickly taken down, in which the Secretary Bunch, spoke about in front of Congress in 2023.
I think that the document itself was wrong and flawed. I do think, however, it's important for the Smithsonian to help the country grapple with questions of race. So I'm not going to run away from that. But I agree with you very much that that document is not the kind of document that should be at the Smithsonian.
He acknowledged it was inappropriate and wrong and took it down. But if you've ever been to this museum, in addition to being powerful and moving, it's upsetting and it is unsettling, just like parts of our history are. Parts of the administration has already taken steps to edit out or in, as the case may be. In June of 2020, protesters in Washington pulled down a statue of a Confederate Army General Albert Pike. A short time later, the president, who was then running for re-election, said something that spoke to that moment, and it seems to this moment as well.
The unhinged left-wing mob is trying to vandalize our history, desecrate our monuments, our beautiful monuments, tear down our statues, and punish, cancel, and persecute anyone who does not conform to their demands for absolute and total control.
Well, last week, the National Park Service announced that the statue of Albert Pike, who was, just to repeat, a Confederate general, a traitor, would be restored to its place in the district to conform to recent executive orders, including the one in March to restore, quote, truth and sanity to American history.
Okay, that doesn't surprise me in the least, okay? Doesn't surprise me in the least. I mean, Trump sounded like he was basically talking about himself. All right, that's what he sounded like he was doing. He is so idiotic. All right. With that all being said, now let's go to this last report about Trump. This is the last word with Lawrence O'Donnell, and this was from yesterday. And he had quite a few things to say from the looks of it. Let me see. This is like 42 minutes. We're only going to listen to about 5 minutes of it. Okay, likes up, everyone, please like and share. And here's the thing. Trump wants to erase the part of history that doesn't show them in a favorable light. Well, that's probably most of history, okay? And I wouldn't be surprised if 30 or 40 years from now that the whole narrative has completely changed and they're saying, in fact, that we were the slave owners. All right? And here's the thing I want to tell you all about reparations. I'm all for reparations, but do y'all still think that you're going to get them? What makes us think we're going to get reparations? Please tell me. These people lie. They try to rewrite history. They try to act like the slaves were workers. They have it in the McGraw-Hill books. Okay, that's what they had in there. There were workers who agreed to come here and work for free. They tell all kinds of lies. Why do y'all think that the same government who has done so much dirt to us, and they won't even give reparations to the survivors of the Tulsa massacre? You think? And that happened way after slavery. So do you all think they're really going to give us reparations, being the descendants of slaves? No. That would be an open admission to all of the wrongs that they have done, all of the nefarious and depraved actions they've committed against us and our ancestors. They will never admit to it all. They'll continue to lie, rewrite history. You should know from them doing things like this. Trump's not the only one. Many of them do it. Okay, they talk about critical race theory being taken out of schools, but in fact, critical race theory was never taught in the schools. It's at college level where you learn about critical race theory. In the schools, they teach you about our history, which is mostly lies, or they just show the negative sides of it. They don't tell you about Timbuktu. They don't tell you about our ancestors being the Egyptians or Cometians. They don't tell you about those things. They talk about slavery. They talk about fighting for civil rights in the Jim Crow era. That's what they talk about. And then they name people like Dr. King. They don't teach your kids about Malcolm X in school. Okay, they teach you about those who were peaceful, like Dr. King. Okay, Medgar Evers. But the ones who by any means necessary, they don't even teach about him in school. All right, so please pay attention. The very thing that they try to hide. All right, exactly. Gloria says, speak, Queen. What about Lake Lanier and the Devil's Punch Bowl? Exactly. They don't tell you about those things. So what makes you think that they're going to give us reparations? And the thing is, they always say, when we bring up reparations, what do the people say that don't look like us, who don't want us to get it? They say things like, well, I never owned any slaves. Nobody in my family ever owned any slaves. There's no one alive that ever even was a slave. As if slavery is the only reason we deserve reparations. Slavery is not the only reason. Okay, what about the entire Jim Crow era? What about all of the lynchings, all of the hate crimes, all of the people who look like me that have been wrongly convicted and framed by police, the police killings of unarmed people who look like me for no good reason? What about people like George Floyd and Breonna Taylor? They owe us reparations for a myriad of things. And sadly, the things that they owe us for, they continue to do. So if they continue to do these things, do you ever think that they have any intentions of paying us? They call the hate crimes that are perpetuated upon us now suicide. Oh, they did it to themselves. That man hung himself from that tree. There's nothing to see here, folks. No evidence of foul play. Isn't that what they say? So if they're still lying to this degree, to this magnitude, what makes you think that they would ever do the right thing and give us what they owe us? Okay? It's not going to happen. It's a pipe dream. And if they ever do give us reparations, I guarantee you, those of us right here today, we won't even be alive to see it. But I don't think it's ever going to happen, at least not in my lifetime. So with that all being said, it is what it is, honey. I'm a realist, okay? I don't walk around with my head in the clouds, okay? Wishful thinking has gone out the window for me when it comes to people like Trump, okay? And those type of people who support him and have his same mindset. It's a whisper in the wind, and you can't believe anything they say. They're erasing our history every single day. But then when people start attacking their Confederate monuments, they have speeches to say, and they want to say that people are hating and trying to destroy their history and all of that. They make excuses for their Confederate flag. Oh, this is history. This has nothing to do with racism, and it has everything to do with racism. So these are the lies that they continue to perpetrate, perpetuate and put out here. So I have no faith in anything that they're ever going to do that is the right thing. And even when you look at some of them who many of us thought were our allies, people like Jane Elliott, Bernie Sanders, even they don't want us to get reparations. So black men asked Jane Elliott, what about reparations for the descendants of slaves? And what did she say? She said, well, you first have to give it to the Native Americans. Lady, we are the indigenous people of this land formerly known as Turtle Island. When Columbus wrote in his journals that he saw copper-colored people, he was talking about our ancestors at the end of the day. But they've already given the Native Americans reparations. What is she talking about? Why would she even fix her mouth to say that? That's why they own reservations. That's how they can afford casinos. Okay, they get monthly installments of money all the time. So what is she talking about? They get it first. They've already gotten it first, but that was just an excuse to not say, yes, we deserve it. When they asked Bernie Sanders, who fought alongside during the civil rights era, beside Dr. King, got arrested with Dr. King, marched with Dr. King. And I thought that man was an ally. His people got reparations for an atrocity that didn't even happen on American soil. But when they asked Bernie Sanders, does he think that people who are the descendants of slaves in this country, African Americans, should get reparations? He said, reparations? What are reparations? And then he said it was divisive. That's what he said. But he didn't complain when his people got it. So y'all really think we're going to get reparations? Yeah, we're not. Okay, we're not. But now let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share.
To Jeffrey Epstein. Just 20% approve.
Hold on, let me scroll back just a little bit.
Don't really exist. I mean, the job title exists, but no one does the work that we used to do. They don't legislate. They don't govern the way both parties used to before Trumpism took over the whole system of Republican politics.
That's true. I mean,
Let me stop right here. D Major, scale it up. I'm sorry. Say what? Still have a grudge against Bernie? He's a good man. I hope you're joking. I hope you're joking. He's a good man. Says who? You? A good man that doesn't have a problem with his people getting reparations for something that didn't even happen on this land, but not wanting us to get it? Okay, if that's a good man to you, yes, I'm asshole. He's a good man. All right, that's how I feel about what you just said, but let's continue.
I am old enough to remember working with Republican members on legislation at times. There were times where they certainly made us really angry in the Obama White House or the Biden White House. Well, the Biden White House was done in the Trump area, but you could still kind of get things done, or at least talk and have a conversation, or at least find points of common ground. It's really hard to do because none of it is on the level these days, as my mother would say.
We must proceed.
We must.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Lawrence.
Thank you. Well, the verdict in the court of public opinion is in, and it is not good for Donald Trump. 59%, quote, disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling investigations into Jeffrey Epstein. Just 20% approve. Donald Trump is the first and only president in American history who had a long-term friendship with a man who raped children regularly, almost every day, while that man was Donald Trump's closest friend, according to that man. That's what Jeffrey Epstein, the child rapist and sex trafficker, told Michael Wolff in a tape-recorded interview. Quote, I was Donald's closest friend for 10 years.
Now, I want you all to pay attention because Michael Wolff, that's the guy that I just told you about when I was talking about Hunter Biden and Melania Trump. Michael Wolff is the guy who wrote the book and included all of those things about Donald Trump. Okay, so now we see how he got all that information.
Everything Donald Trump does now is an attempt to get 59% of Americans to look the other way. Donald Trump is trying to get 59% of Americans to stop thinking about his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein and what Donald Trump might be trying to hide in the Epstein files that are in possession of Donald Trump's attorney general, who actually went to the Oval Office with Donald Trump's former criminal defense lawyer, who is now the deputy attorney general, to personally tell Donald Trump exactly how many times his name appears in the Epstein files and what the Epstein files actually say about Donald Trump. The Epstein files are the full Justice Department investigative file on Jeffrey Epstein and his co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. And during the presidential campaign, Donald Trump told his followers that he would make the Epstein files public. Donald Trump's current FBI director publicly insisted before he became FBI director that the Epstein files must be made public completely, every word of it. Donald Trump's attorney general promised to make the Epstein files public while she was attorney general, saying on TV that she had the Epstein files right there on her desk and was ready to make them public. She said that she had Jeffrey Epstein's client list on her desk and was ready to make that list public. And then she issued an unsigned public statement saying there is no client list and not one word of the Epstein files will ever be made public by Donald Trump's Justice Department. And so it's not surprising tonight that 71% of Americans think Donald Trump knew some or a lot about the sex crimes committed by Jeffrey Epstein against children before the investigations of Jeffrey Epstein's criminal conduct even began. Only 8% of Americans think Donald Trump knew nothing about the sex crimes Jeffrey Epstein was committing against children. 56% of Republicans think Donald Trump knew some or a lot about the sex crimes committed by Jeffrey Epstein.
That's more than half of his own party. Okay, that's more than half of his own party. 56% of Republicans think that he absolutely knew things. Only 8% of the public think he didn't. And those people are just delusional at this point.
Think about how important this story is to Donald Trump's presidency. Donald Trump knows how important it is. And he knows how important it is to Donald Trump's political power and his ability to retain political power. Republicans in Congress have never been afraid of Donald Trump. They know he's a clown who knows nothing. They know he's a child prone to uncontrollable temper tantrums. They know he doesn't belong in the White House. They know he doesn't belong anywhere in government. They have never been afraid of Donald Trump, but Republican politicians have been very afraid. Since Donald Trump won the Republican nomination for president in 2016, that is when every Republican politician began living in abject fear of not Donald Trump, but Trump voters. Donald Trump is nothing without Trump voters.
Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. He said Donald Trump without Trump's voters or supporters or whatever, he would have been the first candidate to drop out in 2016. Okay, so listen, let me say this. D. Major Skeller says Senator Sanders has a history of being for Black people and minorities in general. I'm not defending that specific statement he made, but it's more than that. Well, let me tell you this, beloved. This is what you need to understand, okay? Because I know all about all of that. I literally just said he marched with Dr. King. You see, here's the thing. What you have to realize is that there are some people in life you will find, and you have to pay attention or you'll miss it. There are some people who look like Bernie Sanders who are not really our allies. They simply pretend to be. Okay, they are paid opposition. Okay, they will fight alongside us, protest and all of that. Some of them even do it for money, for clout. Okay, they have their reasons. But how you can tell the true allies is because the true allies want us to get what we deserve, what they know that we're owed. They want us to get it, okay? So if you say that you're an ally to Black people, and then when it comes time to give the Black people what is due us, because we have been broken, we have been oppressed, we have been brutalized, we have been enslaved, we have had all manner of nefarious things. How dare you fix your mouth to say that it is divisive? Now, I'm sorry, beloved, but respectfully, if somebody says no to us getting what they know that we deserve, and they know their people got what we deserve, That's not your ally. And I don't give a damn what that person did. Because at the end of the day, they just let me know by what they said that they didn't do that because they really have a love for Black people. Okay? That's what they didn't do. And if you want further proof, look at people like Gloria Steinem. Gloria Steinem is the woman who started the feminist movement. Who did she recruit first of all? Black women. Okay? Black women back then, some Black women thought she was their ally. This woman was working for the CIA the whole time. What she was doing was sowing seeds of division between Black men and Black women. Black men have never oppressed us in this country, not my ancestors and not us currently. Black men have never done that. It has been the white women whose men didn't want them to have the same working conditions, make the same sort of money on jobs, didn't want them to be allowed to work certain sorts of jobs. That's what they did. Black men never did that to us. So why do we need to be feminists? We didn't. That was all a whole setup by the CIA. Look it up. So that's why you can never be too careful, because I'm going to tell you something that I always remind myself of. You see, there is sugar and there is salt, and they both look just alike. And by the time you taste one and realize you got the wrong one, it's already too late. Okay? So keep that in mind. So just like somebody looks like they're helping us, just because somebody looks like they're fighting alongside us and they want us to win, at the end of the day, when you start asking them for specific things, that's how you can find out if they're really for us or not. See, I told somebody this a few years ago. I said, when people that don't look like me are sitting there acting like they're so for us and all of that, I said, here's how you prove it, Black people. I'm going to tell you how you can find out if they're really down for us. Get them in front of a bunch of their people, not ours. Because if they're in front of our people, they're going to simply say what they think or know we want to hear. So you get that person in front of a group of their own people and ask them out loud, do you think that Black people in the United States deserve reparations? Those of us who are the descendants of slaves. And if they start stammering and stuttering and making up asinine excuses and don't just flat out come and say yes, because all of them know we are owed it. They start saying, well, that's going to, I don't want that to come out of my taxes, or, that's going to make it, that's going to drive up inflation. America can't afford it. Well, a lot of Black people, they're just going to waste it on stuff. Well, I think they should give y'all, money to go to college. When they start saying that kind of stuff, that's when you know that they're not really for you. Now, I'm sorry that Mr. Bernie Sanders fooled you, but he don't fool me, baby. He don't fool me ever since I heard him answer that question. After he said what he said, that told me everything I need to know about Mr. Bernie Sanders. How dare him? Okay, how dare him? You're acting like this is one instance, and so I should just overlook that. But this was a major topic. This is something that we've been fighting for years. This is something that the people in Tulsa, Oklahoma, who are the descendants of those who were murdered during that race riot there, that they've been fighting for. These people, the last few of them are like over 100 years old. So at the end of the day, when he says something like that, it's divisive. So because some of y'all are going to get mad, some of your people are going to get mad, you're not going to say we deserve it. They gave reparations to the slave owners after the slaves were freed. They gave reparations to the slave owners. But he can't fix his mouth to say, you're acting like that's a small thing, beloved, and it is not. That is a major thing. That is a deal breaker for me. Okay? That is a deal breaker for me. Leon said he never corrected himself. He didn't have to correct himself, beloved, because he said what he meant. You correct yourself when you misspeak. Bernie Sanders didn't misspeak. He said what he said, and he said it with his whole chest. He said it with his whole chest. He meant what he said. Okay? So I don't have time for Mr. Bernie Sanders. And you might think that he's this, that, and the third, and that he's done so much for us. And I don't give a damn what he did, because at the end of the day, he did it all because he had ulterior motives. Okay? He stood to benefit from it. I mean, look how he's been favored throughout history so far by people who look like me. Now, I wonder how many people still are thinking like you after he said what he said. Okay, I live in the real world, and I don't make excuses for anybody who is Confederate against my people. That's what I don't do. I just can't do it. Okay, I just can't do it. All right, and so that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast, and I'm not trying to go in on you, D Major, because like I said, I love you. You're one of my longtime subscribers. We can respectfully disagree on this, but I need you to understand that that man is not for us. Anybody that's for us wants us to get what we're owed from this government. It's not coming out of his pocket. He doesn't have to pay it out of his taxes. Okay? The United States can literally have money printed out of thin air. All right, and that's what the Federal Reserve does. They can give us gold bars. There's a myriad of ways they can do things. If they had all those billions to send over to Ukraine for this war that we had nothing to do with, and they can send hundreds of billions of dollars over there, there's no way they're going to sit here and make me think they can't give us reparations because it's going to crash the economy. Okay, and I don't care about it being divisive, as he said. I don't care about nobody getting mad because we get what we're owed, but he does. Okay, that was a slap in the face. All right. You know who Bernie Sanders reminds me of? Let me tell you something. Bernie Sanders reminds me of the scene in Roots. Okay. Reminds me of the scene in Roots when Kizzy was friends with the white girl. I can't remember her name, but they grew up together. Kizzy was basically her slave. And then she taught Kizzy to read and all of that. And Kizzy just loved her and thought she loved her too. But remember how they sold Kizzy out to another family, and Kizzy was crying and all of that and didn't want to leave her family. And the white girl, you would have thought, and Kizzy surely thought, that this girl would fight for her and say, no, don't sell her and this and that. That girl went and looked out the blinds and closed them damn curtains. That's Bernie Sanders, baby. When they asked Bernie Sanders about reparations for people who look like me, Bernie Sanders closed the curtains. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, I hope you all enjoyed the broadcast. I don't mean to be up here preaching, but sometimes, honey, it's things that I'm passionate about, and I just can't go for some of it, okay? I just cannot. So anyway, with that all being said, I love you all to life. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Now, I will see you all in the morning with your morning wake-up call. Until next time, peace.
Hit him with that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got